I woke up again from a nightmare, and my nightmares always have the same pattern. It's always me and usually a group of people that I'm in charge of, and or that I'm in care of, or I'm the caretaker or whatever. And there's a group coming after us, and it's always different. This time it was aliens, believe it or not, that looked like old old Chrysler PT Cruisers, which was interesting because I used to have one. I really liked it. But I didn't know that I would have nightmares anymore after my brother passed away because, being a caretaker of somebody that has to have everything done for them, when that goes away, so many things just happen inside of you because that's the way you're built like that. You're built to be that person that takes care of all the decisions, and you have to sort of reframe who you are, afterwards. Who are you as a person, if you don't have that as like a primary motivator or decision maker, or every decision that you make, from buying a house to buying a car to what career you do to where you live to how you live to when and where and how long you take a vacation to how your money is spent, what's primary, what's important, what are the priorities. And you don't just shut that off. It keeps going. In fact, the room I'm in right now is called Tommy's room because it's my study and it's a mess because we just moved in. But if I had been able to bring him home to this new house, which we just moved into, this would have been his room. It's large. It's on the main floor. It's kind of a whatever you want to make it room. No specific purpose other than what you make it. It has beautiful French doors that look out onto a deck. It has a beautiful view. It's right next to the kitchen, right next to a bathroom. It would have been perfect if I had been able to bring him home, which is what I truly would have liked to do. But see, I need to let all that go. I even find myself asking God, is he safe now that he's gone from this earth? Which is, in a way, kind of a crazy question. But it was always up to me to keep him safe. And so you don't turn that off. That just keeps going. So for any of my fellow caretakers out there, especially in, what we're about to go through in 2025, his Medicaid caseworker called me the Monday after the weekend he passed away, and she wanted one more piece of paper. Tommy's been on Medicaid for, at that time, I believe 20 or 30 years. He'd already been kicked off twice. I'd already had to fight for him and spend thousands. And when I say thousands, I'm talking thousands, above $10,000 to fight to keep him back on. And is almost with a sense of glee that I was able to tell his caseworker that he was gone. And she very quickly told me that she was sorry for my loss. And then she was like, oh, and don't worry about getting me any of that paperwork. Oh, goodness. Wow. Yeah. So, it's almost a sense of relief to no longer have to worry about that, no longer have to fight for his everyday care, no longer have to make sure that the people who are being paid to take care of him do a good job. Just the simple things, just keeping him clean, keeping his little TV with his little cable box on the channel that's appropriate for him, making sure that they, try to feed him the right foods at the right time, And then just to make sure that he keeps his funding going. Just a constant battle. And I'm wondering if I can take that energy back. That now all of that effort and all of that just energy that went to go to there, and even the anger and the hurt and the fear and all that was wrapped up in it, if I can bring that back and use it and recycle it in a different way. That's my question to myself, at this end of 2024, going into 2025. It's been, tomorrow will be a month. Tomorrow will be a month that he passed away. And it's interesting, I told someone that, I told someone it happened exactly as I thought it would. I was very blessed. On the 30th of October, hospice called and said, "Hey, we think he has 5 days." We were closing on our new house the next day. And trust, if I had known this was going to happen, I would never have bought a new house. Would never, ever have even thought of it. And so the hospice social worker offered to me to take him to their beautiful facility. And I told her, I said, well, his funding doesn't work that way. And his money is all called for. And she said, we're not going to charge you. So we moved him to that beautiful facility. And then we were moving Sunday, and I had, which was the 3rd of November. And so I had some people that were going to come and watch him all day long while we moved. And the Saturday, which was actually the Dias de los Muertos, I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry, Dias de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. That evening, it was just me and him. And I was laying down beside him in one of those chairs that, lay out flat. And I was holding his little hand. And earlier in that day, he started weeping. Not, just tears coming from both eyes. And in his 59 years, I had never, ever seen him cry. And I don't know if they were tears of joy or sadness. To me, it felt like he was giving me back some of my tears. That's what it felt like. It felt like he was paying them back. But I was holding his little hand. And I noticed that his breathing pattern was changing. It was becoming less regular. And he wasn't gasping or anything. It was just, and he preferred to lay on his left side. He was laying on his left side facing me. His mouth was open. His eyes closed. And I just all of a sudden knew. And so I picked up the phone. There was no dial tone. So I just kind of stepped out of the room and kind of moved quickly towards the nurse's station and asked and just kind of beckoned one of them to come. And they came in there. And I laid back down and next to him and took his little hand in mine. And I just told the nurse I didn't want to be alone. And he just stopped breathing. And the nurse kept checking. His little heart kept beating. And then eventually it just stopped too. And she told me he was gone. And there's a part of a caretaker that we just sort of take over, you know? We just know what to do. It's not even like we have to ask anybody or even ask ourselves. We just go into action. So I asked her what next steps were. I already had, of course, everything planned. She said the funeral home would come get him. And I just packed up my stuff, kissed his forehead, and went home for the last night in our old house. Yeah. So I think he orchestrated it perfectly. Number one, that's a really special day to leave this earth. You know, it's supposed to traditionally be a day when the veil between the two worlds is thinner. So I believe that'll be a special day. You know, I always just thought it was kind of an interesting holiday before. I never really got into Halloween too much. But now it'll be just mine and his little holiday. And I was able to really concentrate on moving the next day. It gave me something, number one, because as caretakers, we generally need something to do. When we are stressed or anything, you know, we generally move into action. You know, we start to clean or organize or whatever it is that needs to be done, we just kind of take over. And so that's what kicked in. So I definitely had something to do. And I also didn't have to worry, you know, the whole time that I was moving that might be his last day, because I knew I needed to be there, you know. I knew I needed to be there at the very end. And for some reason, I just knew it was just going to be just me and him. I knew it was. And that's exactly the way it was. You know, and it's, Tommy could never have a conversation. He was not, I mean, he would be vocal, but he couldn't actually form words. Although every now and then I'd swear I would hear him say, "my brother." He would vocalize, you know, but he couldn't really, it was his own little language. So I don't really know in a lot of ways what he thought, or, you know, it was all just kind of guesswork, you know, as far as that was concerned. But I'm so thankful to have been his brother. And I hope at the end of the day, he knows how much I truly, truly loved him. And still do. Right now, his ashes are in the living room. And when I feel able enough, there's a retreat center I go to in North Carolina. And there's a special little cliff that overlooks like 4 or 5 valleys coming together. It's a special place. And I want to release him there. Because there's no family home or anything. That's probably been one of the hardest things about his care, is that I come from a very dysfunctional beyond broken home, where I literally had to step out for my own sanity. So, yeah, and that's okay. That's okay. And I remember I could start hearing Tommy talk to me near the very end. And one thing I'll never forget, because I was so filled with worry at the very end, for his care, and also, frankly, for my own, and then my own sanity, and also because of so much of the fighting I had to do for Tommy. Tommy left bills, which he had no assets. And then when I told all the agencies that he'd passed away, like the other one, oh, we're sorry for your loss. Very next statement, we don't pay for, we not only don't pay forward, we don't pay for the month of death. And I thought, well, isn't that a thing? What if someone in Tommy's situation passed at the very end of a month? The very end of the month, there's going to be bills. And his only funding won't pay for the month of death. So I am a little concerned, but I asked Tommy if it would be okay. And what I heard was, it always is. And I rest with that. So maybe that helps somebody today. If you ask, is it going to be okay? Let Tommy tell you, it always is.